Hi, everybody. This is SAAD for the SAAD Truth. A few minutes ago, I saw on my Twitter feed a clip from Prager University. I think it's from 2015, where a gentleman was arguing uh, about the fact that there's no way that God doesn't exist, and he was using the profoundly tired and breathtakingly idiotic argument of a fine-tuned universe. For those of you who don't know this argument, it basically goes something like this: the physical constants that must exist in exactly their form, their current form, or within a very narrow range uh, that would allow for life to exist in the way that it does on Earth, are so astronomically small that ergo this must mean that there must be a grand designer. I mean, this is just truly breathtakingly idiotic on so many levels, and maybe at some point I'll try to dismantle the tsunami of stupidity that is inherent to that argument. But I thought that I would do so today in one particular way. It's always good to draw analogies. That's a very powerful way to demonstrate, in this case, the stupidity of an argument. So I thought that rather than using the grandeur of the cosmological scale, why don't we just bring it back down to earth and do a statistical calculation of the miracle of your birth? And let's see if that means that God had a direct hand in your creation. So women are born with roughly there are different estimates, about 1 to 2 million ova. Uh, so let's remember that number, 1 to 2 million. And then they start, these ovas die out very, very quickly, so that by the time I think you reach puberty, you're at around maybe in the order of 300,000, if memory serves me right. But let's take another number, a smaller number, from the onset of menarche, which is the onset of your menses, a woman's menses, to menopause. There are roughly 400 ovulatory cycles. Okay, so if we want to use the smallest possible number, we have 400 ova. If we want to use the largest number, we have, say, 2 million ova that women start their lives with. Now, men will, in a single ejaculation, on average, release 250 million spermatozoa. And one estimate that I saw regarding the number of spermatozoa that a man will produce in his lifetime is 525 billion spermatozoa. So if we simply look at the probability of your creation, I mean, we could have done different probabilistic calculations here, but let's take a very simple one. Simply multiply 400 ova, which again, that's a smaller number. It's a conservative number. I could have gone with 2 million. So take 400 ova multiplied by the number of sperm that a man produces throughout his entire life, 525 billion, then the chances of, given the ova that could be fertilized with all of the possible spermatozoa that a man produces, the likelihood that it would be you is 210 trillion. So you are a product of a statistical probability of 1 in 210 trillion. Hallelujah. Oh Lord, how could you explain such a small probability? I mean, it's unfathomable to think of a probability of 1 divided by 210 trillion. Now again, here I used the conservative number 400 ova. Had I used 2 million, then the likelihood of you being born would be substantially several orders of magnitude smaller. Now, if we include the fact that that's a probability when we assume that your parents have met, let's incorporate the probabilities of your parents meeting, right? That would add several orders of magnitude to the calculation. So should we conclude that the probability is so infinitesimally small that how else could you explain it other than the fact that God singularly intervened to create you, right? Now, let's do it further. There are 7 billion people, 7 billion plus people on Earth. Each of them, if we assume the probability that I just gave you is the one that's operative. For you to come up with the 7 billion people that currently exist on Earth is, that take the original 210 trillion likelihood of you being created and now apply that to 7 billion people. Holy moly, the exact current population that exists is so infinitesimally unlikely that this demonstrates that it must be God. So you see how you could play this game? Now, I could do this game for anything you want. I could do it for the existence of you having eaten the specific broccoli that you did, and I could come up with a breathtakingly small probability. And therefore, how could you explain the likelihood of your mouth being populated by that particular broccoli? Hallelujah, it must be God. So if the best that people could come up with, and from what I hear, this is their best argument, the fine-tuned argument, the fine-tuned universe argument is sort of the scientific quote, the statistical argument for the existence of proof, of the proof of God, then you're not doing a good job. Again, my point here is not to criticize people's religious beliefs. Believe in whatever you want as long as it doesn't infringe on the right of others. But what bothers me is the Dunning-Kruger effect that these idiots exhibit when they sort of feel that QED, I've boxed you in, you're dead, atheism is dead. How else could you explain the existence of Earth given these small probabilities? It's a profoundly inane and idiotic argument. Have a good evening, everyone. Cheers.